Greetings, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory again, or the Armchair Philosopher. I've been looking at the vids of a certain YouTuber named Dan Freeman 717. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. He also goes by the name of Avenue Rants. And Avenue Rants brought up a question that was a really good question. Or not even really a question, but it was something that made me ask this question. Why do men lie about their sexual conquests? Um, he put it in a nice, colorful way. He said, "quote unquote," guys be lying on their dick, and basically, what that means, of course, is a lot of men lie about the number of partners they've had, more likely increasing them as opposed to decreasing them. And the thing I realize is that our culture sort of sets us up that way. I believe our culture sets us up where a woman is expected to be pure, undefiled, virginal, with either little to no sexual experience. A man is expected to have all sorts of sexual experiences with all different types of women, and he's supposed to get a couple of notches on his belt, and he's also supposed to get a few. He's supposed to go out and sort of sow his wild oats, and then come back and get that one marriage, and he'll be ready for life. Now, the problem I have with some of this is, number one, I was a nerdy guy back in the day. I still sort of consider myself a nerd, and I don't necessarily find that to be a negative thing. But anyway, a lot of times, many of those social interactions weren't available to me. Many of these social interactions were passed me over. And I'll admit that I'm not as experienced in certain areas as some others are or claim to be. And I found this to be an issue when I would hear from guys and girls' sexual experiences, and I would feel so intimidated because I didn't have the same experiences. Maybe I had a few experiences, but nothing on the level. And I always felt there was this incessant need to sort of compare myself from one person to another. And that was something that I thought about, is why do guys lie about their conquest? And again, I can remember this as far back as middle school. I remember I was like 11 and 12, and guys were talking about how they were having sex at 11 and 12. Now, in some cases, I'm sure this was true. And this could either be through molestation or some interesting trysts between consenting young people, if that's possible. So, but for me, I was a kid. People were laughing at me for being scared of women at 12. Mind you, at 12, I was still reading comic books. At 12, I was still watching Nickelodeon. But I'm expected to go out and at 12, I'm living at home with mama, and I'm just starting this thing called puberty. Well, women generally started around 11, men around 13. But I remember my voice started changing, and then, other things started happening. But so at 12, I'm already supposed to have done the deed. And I ain't even really reached puberty yet. So I think that's kind of funny. Well, I've always found that interesting. But yeah, Avenue Rants, when he said, "Hey man, these brothers be lying on their dick," I'd be cracking up because I knew a lot of guys that were doing that. They'd be like, "Hey, Lisa over there, yeah, Lisa and Keita and Tiffany, yeah, I had sex with them, and no good and doggone well, they never touched them women. Them women wouldn't give them the time of day." But yet, and not only just in the realm of sexuality, I find this in a lot of things, such as people lie about how much money they make. They try to make themselves bigger than what they are. They make themselves sound more important than what they are. They make themselves sound more larger than life than what they really are. And it makes me wonder, why don't people just accept who they are and just roll with it? And I think some of that comes with comparison, because I don't have as much as so and so. I don't look like so and so. I can't roll like so and so. And it seems that so and so over here seems to get a whole lot of love, attention, accolades. And of course, we are social animals, and we do love the pats on the back and the accolades. But there was something I read in a book from a guy. He wrote a book about his two dogs. It was called "It's Okay to Miss the Bed on the First Jump." It was written by John Hurley. That's the guy's name. It's okay to miss the bed on the first jump, and other life lessons I learned from my dogs. And one of the things he talked about was how John Hurley, he's an actor. He used to host Family Feud, and you've seen him around, and he's even been on Seinfeld and shows like that. Well, one of the things that he basically talked about was how he was hosting this dog show, and he noticed dogs didn't care whether they got the blue ribbon or the funky little purple ribbon or whatever the case might be. The dogs would just love to get petted and fed the food. They didn't care that somebody was judging them first place, second place, or last place. They were just being whatever dog they were. In fact, he even pointed out that the dachshund hound is going to always want to be the dachshund hound. The dachshund hound isn't going to look over at the Welsh Terrier and go, "I want to be your Welsh Terrier," or the Welsh Terrier is not going to look at the Rottweiler and go, "Yo, man, I want to be a Rott." No, the Welsh Terrier is just going to be Welsh Terrier. But yet we'll be the ones going, "Well, I wish I was more this. I wish I was more that," and we get into that. And I wish I was more like this because it seems they get a lot better love or attention. And in honesty, I don't think we should be attention-starved people. I think we need to just, well, number one, be happy with whoever we are. We'll find out who we are and then be happy with that. And be happy with my experiences because my experiences are mine alone and no one else's. Just as their experiences are theirs alone. And you cannot be them any more than they can be you. So I'm not really trying to get on a soapbox here. Well, maybe I am getting on my soapbox, but I'm not really trying to preach at the YouTube universe here. I'm just merely pointing out that I can kind of see why people want to lie about their sexual conquest because it's more than just sex. It's everything else, too. We even love looking for credentials. That's another thing. But I'm going to touch on that in a future video, possibly. But the big thing is everybody wants to appear like they're better than what they really are. I mean, yes, I'm all for putting your best foot forward. I'm all for showing up in your best. I'm all for washing your body and brushing your teeth and flossing and doing those things. But that doesn't necessarily mean this makes you better than the next person. Well, that's just my 2 cents on the subject. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be easy like Sunday morning.